Oi? Thank you. That's as much Portuguese as I have. So, all right. It's pretty amazing to be here, have the opportunity to speak to all of you guys and listen to everyone before. Again, I haven't understand many of the words that have been spoken, but I think I get what's going on. I guess 2 days ago I was in Los Angeles, and where I live and work on good, and have the opportunity to come here and talk about what does Brazil have to offer the world, which is amazing. I've never been to Brazil before, and I'm not an expert on Brazil, so we'll see how this goes. What is good? This is, I guess, a question and project I get to work on every day. For those of you guys who don't know, Good is a media company. We have a magazine, website, videos, events, which we say it's for people who give a damn. So I think much like all of us here. But really, as it's evolved, it's also become something more than the media. It's a collaboration of all of these people, of the businesses, of the nonprofits who are coming together to push the world forward. And it's really the connections and things that happen from all of them. So through all of this, it's not ours good, it's all of ours. And it's a question that we sort of ask and pursue every day. Good is many, many different things, and it can be really complicated, what feels good, what tastes good, what is good for the planet, and how to reconcile all of those things. So, where we started was, but what motivated us to start Good was that before we started, we felt like good was this altruistic thing. It was, you had to renounce your worldly possessions and go out into the world and do good and not necessarily be that happy or have that much fun. And we totally disagreed with that. We think that good is really, it's what happens when you and the world, when the interests align. And it's not an actual problem to do that. There's many opportunities, and that's really what we seek to pursue. So all of these other terms, I don't know if you can read those, but pragmatic and idealistic and fun and serious and the individual and the collective, that's sort of the sweet spot where we want to work. It's things that maybe seem opposite, but really there is this overlapping territory, and working to there and from there is where good, sustainable, ongoing, amazing good happens. This was the cover of our first issue. The small type above that big white box says, a do-it-yourself personal manifesto, and it's blank like you give a damn. And it was sort of our manifesto, our way to call out to the world. It doesn't matter what you do or what you're into, whether it's music or law or science, do it like you give a damn. And that's what brings good together. And that really created for us a huge sort of collaborative endeavor from there. I'll show a bunch of sort of pages from the magazine, and they're all working with different groups, different creative groups, designers, thinkers. This was, for the first issue. The theme was I Heart America. This was in 2006. We were heading into the midterm elections back then. A lot of us on the more progressive side of things weren't sure how much we loved America and wanted to. And so this was, in America there's this phrase that is, America, love it or leave it. And it's sort of what people will tell you who don't want to hear disagreement or dissent about things. And so we had this group up in Portland come up with this idea, which was America, love it or fix it. And that really was so perfect. It embodied everything that we wanted good to be about. It's forward-looking. It's about problem solving. And again, here's some other slides. This was for our design issue, which was all about design as problem solving. And this was a group called IDEO, who sort of imagined a San Francisco sort of street corner and all the problems that could be solved and all of the ways that it could be made better. One of the things that's really pixelated, but one of the things that we've become known for is our infographics and the data visualization. And again, this has been really like a collaborative endeavor with the design community and us sort of trying to find that center of the Venn diagram of having fun with information and taking serious things and presenting them so people engage with them. This was a look at world democracies and sort of top-ranking voter participation. This was looking at how where US tax dollars go and the breakdown in government spending, also versus household spending, so how individuals spend their money and how the government spends their money. This was looking at the square footage of major global retailers, and so all of the Walmarts in all of the world cover an area bigger than Manhattan, and that's what we learned here. And again, a few more things just about energy use or comparing the dollar to the price of lattes around the world. And here's another one that I really love, which was looking at what percentage of the world is governed by a female leader. What nations have a female leader. And this was sort of each dot represented 1 million people. And it was sort of a mashup of all of these women's faces. And we did this, and then a few weeks later, or maybe even days after we published, the new president of India had been elected. And it radically changed it. And this was something that a user on our website submitted. And I think really showed this potential of the collaborative and ongoing nature of good. Again, it's not what's coming out of our offices, but it's what like the whole world is engaging in these ideas and sharing. This is, again, just events and sort of more showing the collaborative nature of things like this, like getting a whole bunch of people together and seeing what amazing stuff comes out of it. This is kind of our business plan or how we look at the world. This says profit and loss is up and down, and harms and helps is left and right. And that's where we want to go. We want to do as much good and make as much money as possible. And we believe that both of those can happen. And I think other people have sort of spoken about that today. Our idea there was this program called Choose Good, which was in the US to get a magazine started, as we've heard before, like here, very expensive and complicated. We decided to give 100% of the subscriptions to nonprofits and let the subscribers choose which nonprofit it went to. And the result was we got these nonprofits behind us, and people loved the idea, and we were able to grow the subscriber base for much more efficiently than if we had done traditional methods. The last big sort of tenet of good is this idea of creativity and impact. It's where, again, sourcing the most creative solutions to create impact in the world. And this is sort of what we cover. This is how we, the stories we celebrate. And more, it's the way we sort of open up to the world and we do these projects. This is a Redesign Your Street project, which looks at how we can, reimagine our streets to become more pedestrian friendly. And this was done by an organization in the US who focuses on this. This piece was. And then as we moved to, we sort of did an open call to the community and got these redesigns for various cities that just people out there participated in. And when this stuff starts to happen, sometimes the right connections are made and little change can start to happen. And so there's things like this going on. And as I was putting this together to talk to you guys, what I realized is that a big part of good is about looking for new models. And I've always loved this Buckminster Fuller quote, the guy who made the geodesic domes and had an amazing view of the world, which is, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And that's where I sort of thought of Brazil in this whole thing. I think Brazil does offer, from my US non-expert perspective, a definite opportunity to present new models that really work, that travel. And I think that's really, really exciting territory for Brazil and for the world. We definitely need new models right now. One in this vein, which I'll build on in a second, is there's a guy by the name of Umair Haq, who's sort of a business economist, writer, philosopher. And he recently wrote this piece called the Awesomeness Manifesto, and suggested that awesomeness is the new innovation. And he said, in the 21st century, if you're merely innovative, prepare to be disrupted by awesomeness. Because innovation can be like narrow, and you're fixing problems that lead to more problems, and you're not looking at the whole thing. And awesomeness, like, we know it when we see it, and it works, and it takes the whole thing into account. His 4 pillars were ethical production, insanely great stuff, love, and thick value, which is, it's more than adding value, it's really being meaningful to people. And he really writes and thinks in terms of businesses and products. But I was thinking, what if it's bigger than businesses and products? What if, like, the new model for the 21st century isn't the superpower, but it's the awesome power? And this was my idea to share here. So, I think the awesome power takes those and expands on it. It's an ethical economy, openness. It's sort of stuff that can come from the grassroots and travel across the world. It's more than the stuff. It's insanely great people and culture, love for sure, and thick value in the sense of just making the world a better place and contributing. And again, so from here I was thinking of like, what have I seen of Brazil? And there's tons of things that, sitting in LA, you get the image of Brazil, the sort of beautiful landscapes and beaches and people and, soccer and all of these great things. But sort of picking some good examples, some things that we've covered at Good in the past. One came to mind, which is the bus system in Curitiba. This was something that, was really, brilliant and simple solution to a local problem. I'm sure as many of you guys know, it's since moved to Bogota, has adapted it. We ended up writing about it in Good, and certainly with us and otherwise, the idea is traveling throughout the world. And that kind of like cultural export, I think, is an amazing thing to think about for how these ideas that locally work can travel, and not just exporting stuff, but exporting solutions like this. Incidentally, I think there's a quote from perhaps the mayor that instituted this in Curitiba, that is, if you want a creative solution, take a 0 off the budget. And if you want a sustainable solution, take 2 zeros off the budget. And it's something I've been sharing with tons of people, and I think sort of, again, as I look at Brazil, I think it presents that opportunity. We need so many creative and sustainable solutions in the world right now that, the more we can get with however much money, the better. Something else, that really struck us is the sort of street art and the culture here on that level. I don't know how it's perceived here, but from the US, Sao Paulo and Brazil is like, fills up the street art blogs. And I think it's such powerful expression and a certain kind of civic engagement that sometimes gets overlooked, but I think is really meaningful. And these are all from actually a street art blog by a guy who works in the Good offices and of Brazil. So these are some up top is people, it's attracting people from globally to come here and contribute. And I think that's incredible. And then this is a Brazilian artist. His name escapes me right now, but this sort of parlays into my last point, which was, this was a piece he did in Berlin. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, but he installed hundreds of little ice people sculptures. And this was to sort of speak about the climate change issues. And he sort of put them out and let them melt in the sun. And so I think that's my last thing here, which is, Brazil has a powerful position in this global climate change debate. And this was a map we recently did for the COP15. As one of the BRIC nations, it's incredible what sort of weight it can carry, and to have news recently pop up that it's really sort of throwing that power behind these issues is exciting. It's exciting for us in the US, who need to motivate our government and our Congress however we can to address this issue. And I think it's just another sort of element that feels to me like it's part of this idea of the awesome power of the future. And so to add to that, I think it's everything else that you guys have heard here today. All of the people who've spoken feel like they contribute to this. And I'm sure many of you in the audience too. And so with that, I would just say, let's create more awesome. And that's good.